We're ready? Francine, you ready? Okay. Good evening, everyone. The special meeting of the Loxahatchee Groves Town Council will now come to order. For the record, it's July 28th. We're starting at 6:01 p.m. Excuse me, we've started the meeting. Thank you. If I could, if we could have all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Instead of a moment of silence tonight, we're just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. I received a number of phone calls, emails, and correspondence about the last meeting and about the lack of civility that was displayed during that meeting. So, if the clerk would indulge me, I have for the record. I'm speaking into the mic. Okay. I have for the record to pass out to you a resolution regarding procedures for town council meetings, the Loxahatchee Groves Town Council training, and there are copies for everyone in the audience. As well as I'd like to just start by reading section 7.5 of the Town Council Rules of Order and Procedure. Section 7.5, each person addressing the council should step up to the podium and state his or her name in an audible voice for the record. It is preferred that each person state his or her address, but not required. All public comments must be addressed to the council as a body and not to individuals. Personal verbal attacks upon council members, staff, and/or members of the public will not be tolerated. Any person making impertinent, obscene, personally insulting, defamatory, or slanderous remarks, or who becomes boisterous or disruptive while addressing the council shall be barred by the presiding officer from speaking further unless permission to continue or again address the council is granted by a majority vote of the council members present. Let's please all remember that the only way to have a productive meeting and move forward is if we all act with civility. If I could have a roll call, Valerie.
Councilmember Coleman,
Here.
Councilmember El Remy,
Here.
Councilmember McClendon,
Here.
Vice Mayor Herzog,
Here.
Mayor Kane,
Present.
Town Manager Ramalia,
Here.
and Town Attorney Torcivia is appearing via Zoom.
Do we have him? There's nothing up there. Do we know that
Here.
he is there? Okay. All right. This is the portion of the evening where we allow comments from the public on non-agenda items. Are there any comments, Valerie?
Mary McNicholas. So just for the record, we are having technical difficulties. We are recording on YouTube, so it is picking up the audio and the visual. However, it will not appear until sometime this week. We will try to get it out or up tomorrow, but at this moment, you will not see it live.
Good evening, council, staff, and thank you. I want to make sure that that's on. I wanted to give you a very brief update on the North Lake Boulevard closures. It is going to be beginning this Friday at 8 p.m. It is to continue until the following Sunday, August 10th. There have been some reports. I've noticed that some media, and I believe maybe the town crier also stated that it might be an 8-day project. We have not been given that information officially. By now, you should have, each one of you all individually should have received this flyer from Palm Beach County. They're also, as far as their communications plan, they're also at in the lobby, on the desk, and also posted on both sides of the doors in English and Spanish. If you need any other information on that, I'll be happy to give it to you. I wanted to make sure that you know that we've ensured that all the information has been communicated centrally and that we're giving all the information consistently that's been given out by FDOT, CSX, and Palm Beach County. We have not been going into rumors, anything else. If anything needs to be addressed, please let me know. And if there's any other questions or ideas on how to do this, help us within this town while we're bombarded, please let me know. We've put everything on LGLA websites. I'd encourage you all to please share the same information on the unofficial Facebook pages. The town has done it under social media and the news. Let me think if there's anything else. Logistics specific to Loxahatchee Groves. This is where it's important for you to know. We have worked diligently to make sure that we get extra resources. We ask for extra variable message boards. We do have one coming from Palm Beach County, so we will have a total of 3, which will be important because they're easier to read. We will be also getting resources from Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. We've been assured that the north-south, to address the north-south traffic, that we will have at least 3 resource staff at the intersections of B as in boy, D as in David, and F as in Frank, lettered roads on Okeechobee to ensure that people can get out and that there will be some gap. We did ask for some other things as far as channeling, barricades, things like that, so people aren't going around on the shoulders. The reason that the county has rejected that as part of an MOT plan is because EMS, public safety, has to use those right-of-ways. So if there's any other questions, please let me know. And if anyone has any ideas on how we can benefit or how we can help as far as this situation, because it's going to be a traffic thing during peak hours, please let me know. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Mary?
That's really loud right here. I'm used to it over there.
It's a question for.
Hi, Councilman.
When Sarah Baxter posted her map of the roads that were going to be affected, E-Road was on that map through our town, and it showed crossroads all the way up and down through our town, which we don't have, you know? So, I mean, I hope someone is addressing that kind of bad thinking on
I'm
that idea.
Councilwoman, I'll be happy to address it with the Commissioner's office and see if there's anything else. I think there was something else that had to do with master transportation planning, and it had to do with 140th South, but I'll look into that and see exactly what it was. Okay. Anything else, anybody? Okay, please let us know if we're doing a good job, if we're doing a terrible job, if any of this might help or it might not help. We'd be happy to, we really want to hear it.
We'll let you know on about the 3rd.
Now, all bets are off. All bets are off Monday, August 4th. I will tell you. Yeah,
It's a shy crowd, you know.
it is
Come
such
on.
a, there's such wallflowers here.
Today.
Thank you. Actually, on Monday, August 4th is when the deputies will be there beginning. And we just want you to know that they're going to be there on both the peak hours when needed. So if there's anything we need to adjust, whatever, it's completely fluid, needs to be addressed. Text me, shoot me, you know, give me a call, whichever. You all have my email, my cell and everything. So please give it to us right when you see it, though. Don't wait through the day.
We'll station some officers at Sunsport cut through.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just want
What's the
to,
question now?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to thank Mary and the staff for all the diligence that they've had through this whole thing. I know I found out about it a couple days later, and I shot a text to Francine, and Mary and Francine very quickly got back to me and said, "We're already on top of this. We got it." And
Yeah.
they've been on top of it, where I know it was kind of people had heard about things and didn't realize that little old town of Loxahatchee Groves was already on top of it. You know, they were in the beginning.
So sadly,
So,
you know,
thank you
one
very
thing,
much.
you're welcome, and it's our pleasure. One thing I want to say is that honestly, when you do, you know, get information of something, it might take 24 or 48 hours to go ahead and have a game plan together. So we wanted to really have something for you before we went ahead and, you know, discussed it. Thank you.
One thing I would add, Mary, besides my great thanks for you, is that council, if you saw the letter that we sent to the county and to PBSO, we were actually able to get partnership with them on each and every one of those items and add some as well. And I think a lot of that has to do with Mary working her butt off, getting us whatever extra supplies there were in the county.
Well, thank you. I still have a lot here to work off. So I'm getting on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Ms. Siciliano?
Joe Siciliano?
Good evening. Joe Siciliano, 1530 B Road. I'm speaking tonight to make sure a few important facts pertinent to the RV resort discussion make it into public earshot. Facts that may have been accidentally omitted or misrepresented. Here's what's true. This project can't happen without a zoning change approved by town council. Any future changes, that's a whole separate process requiring a supermajority vote. There's no secret shortcuts that would allow automatic, unlimited use changes. They keep throwing around the word commercial when referring to this project, but this developer isn't asking for commercial zoning. They're asking for recreational use so they can operate a recreational business. This type of commercial enterprise already exists within our ag-res district. Businesses like horse barns, nurseries, fruit stands, and agritourism. None of these are a prelude to a strip mall. Additionally, this project, if granted recreational, could actually serve as a 47-acre buffer between commercial zoning on Southern Boulevard and its neighboring residents. The resort could actually prevent commercial encroachment, helping to protect the rural character people say they are trying to save. And we can't overlook the tangible benefits the developer is proposing. Over 60% to remain green space, over 8 acres of conservation area, walking, biking, horse trails donated to the town, hundreds of thousands of dollars of native landscaping to supplement and support local ecosystems, city water and sewer, relieving pressure on our aquifer and reducing risk of groundwater pollution. All this, including the site plan, is available on the town's webpage. If this property were sold as 9 5-acre lots, could the town expect to enjoy these same benefits? Unlikely. And let's talk risk. If this town keeps rejecting reasonable proposals, it's only a matter of time before some developer with deep pockets, sharp legal teeth, and an appetite for commercial projects sues us again and wins again. Then we're looking at forced commercial development, not recreational. Think box stores, strip malls, and tire shops lining the banks of Collecting Canal. The worry around the Live Local Act being used is totally misplaced. It doesn't apply to recreational land. The worry that this will destroy local RV rentals. Let's say the average private RV rental is $2,000 a month. That would get you about 6 days at this resort. Different market share, lemonade stand versus tropical smoothie. And yes, the developer is offering $500,000 upfront plus $25,000 annual in surplus revenue, over and above the standard business tax receipts. Call it a bribe if you want, but to a town with an anemic budget, it looks like vitamins and a blood transfusion to me. Potato, potato. What worries me isn't the RV resort or recreational zoning change. It's the prevailing manner, tone, and content of some discussions. These tactics feel like an attempt to strong-arm residents and council members into silence. We deserve real discussion and a safe place to have them, not manipulation. So read the plan, check the facts, and please, let's proceed with class, decorum, and civility. I really don't want to regret standing up here tonight. If anything I've presented here can be refuted with concrete evidence, documented proof, or case law, please let me know, and I will publicly recant in part or full what I have misrepresented. Thank you.
Ms. Standish?
Virginia Standish, 15410 North Road. Since we will be having a heavy PBSO presence in the next few weeks, I wanted to ask, this came up several years ago, about the PBSO ticketing. When someone gets a ticket in the town of Loxahatchee Groves, where does that money go? I asked one council person and the response was, well, it's a small amount of money. Well, that small amount of money could help offset food costs for employee volunteer parties, et cetera. I don't think we can turn our noses up at any amount. So I would love to hear in our town council comments over the next few weeks, budgeting discussions, where we are on PBSO ticketing and how much revenue we can get, and if the ticket book has been updated. Thank you.
That's it. Okay, so we only have one item on the agenda tonight. It's the selection of the town attorney. So at this time, I would like to ask all of the candidates to leave the room. And then we will have each one of them will have the opportunity to give a 10-minute presentation and have questions and answers. Francine, what order did they know the order?
I believe they know we're doing in the order that the proposals were received.
And so who's first?
I believe that's why Sirota.
Okay, so except for Weiss Serota.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Point of order, I think we have to approve the agenda.
Oh,
I'll make a
I'm
motion to-
so sorry.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Sometimes you got to bring me back to center. Didn't turn your light on though.
Oh, sorry. Dang.
Point of order.
Is everybody ready?
We're ready.
Okay. All right. Well, let me introduce myself first, Matt Remenda, and this is my law partner, David Pulsis, who I think some of you already know. We're both here from the law firm of Weiss Serota Helpman. And first of all, I want to thank all of you for allowing us to be here tonight and to listen to our presentation. We submitted a pretty comprehensive response to the request for the letter of intent. So I certainly do not want to rehash everything that's in there, and I'm not going to read through 20 pages. But I do want to highlight a few key things. I want to talk a little bit about the firm. I want to talk about some of the work that we've done in Palm Beach County for other municipalities, other towns, other cities, other government agencies. And then I want to talk a little bit about myself and have David introduce himself and talk a little bit about him. So to start off with the firm, Weiss Serota Helpman, we've been around for about 35 years. We represent municipalities and government agencies. This is what we do. This is our primary function. It's our bread and butter. We have about 100 attorneys, just shy of 100 attorneys. We have 3 main offices, one in Palm Beach County, which is where I am, which is where David is. We also have a Broward County office, a Dade County office, and then we have one sole guy up in Gainesville and somebody over in Tampa as well. So included in the response that we provided, about page 10 or so, we listed all the various, or a good portion of the towns, the cities, the CRAs, the other government agencies that we represent throughout Palm Beach County, throughout Broward County, throughout Dade County, and really across the state of Florida. I represent the town of Indy Atlantic, which is up in Brevard County, up on the Space Coast. So whether it's being the town attorney or whether being hired as special counsel to represent the town for certain issues, we handle litigation, code enforcement, municipal prosecutions. We have land use and zoning issues, labor and employment, eminent domain. We do all of it, and we do it very well. In addition to me, and in addition to David, we've included 2 other team members from our firm who would also serve you, as would everyone in the firm. If we have any issues, they'd be willing to help. But the two other main people, other than myself and David, would be Susan Trevarthen, who's very well known and very good with land use, with zoning issues. And then also in the response packet that we gave you, we have Milton Collins, who would handle labor and employment issues. So that's a little bit about the firm, who we are. Just want to talk about some of the towns, the cities, the other government agencies in Palm Beach County that we serve, and we have served in the past. Boca Raton, we do a lot of their litigation. We do their labor and employment work. Boynton Beach, David served as the former city attorney there. We still serve as special counsel doing litigation and labor and employment work. Town of Jupiter, we do labor and employment work. I formerly handled code enforcement there. I was formerly the assistant town attorney up there. Town of Palm Beach, again, litigation, labor and employment. I formerly handled code enforcement there and also served as the assistant town attorney there. Riviera Beach, Royal Palm Beach, labor and employment work. David represents the Lake Worth CRA. So we handle a lot of different municipalities, a lot of government agencies in Palm Beach County, and those are a list of some of them. There's more listed in the packet, but again, I don't want to go through and read everything. To talk a little bit about myself, I've been practicing for 21 years. I'm based out of the Palm Beach office. I handle a lot of litigation, code enforcement, municipal prosecutions. Like I said, I've represented a lot of municipalities throughout Palm Beach County throughout Broward County. I don't really get down to Dade all that much. I try not to. And then I also go up to Broward I'm sorry, to Brevard up in the Space Coast. And with respect to formerly with the town of Jupiter and with the town of Palm Beach, sitting right up there as the assistant city attorney. So that's a little bit about me. I think I'll let David introduce himself.
Thank you, Matt. Good evening, everyone. David Tolsis with the firm of Weiss, Sirota, Helfman, Cole, and Bierman. And I am proud to be here in the town of Loxahatchee Rose, having witnessed the incorporation of the town starting in 2006, sitting at the first town council meeting in 2007, I believe, and moving forward, had the pleasure of serving with the vice mayor on the first town council. And it's nice to see how you've grown from the old meeting room at the Water Control District headquarters. Mr. McClendon as well, I remember you. But, you know, Weiss Sirota is a full service firm. You will get first-class service from Matt, myself, or anyone at the firm. And notwithstanding the fact that we do serve a large scope of government entities, every firm is number one. You know, you call, whether it's phone, email, text, you get responses, you get answers, we offer solutions. You'll have somebody here available for you at all your meetings. And I've found through my 35 years of practice that this firm is in a unique position because of the scope and breadth of the attorneys who are in that office. Whether you need somebody regarding a speed zone issue, whether it's a land use issue, whether it's a right to farm issue, whether it's a code enforcement issue, you'll have the attorney who knows about that and won't have to spend time researching that issue and ultimately charging the town for that time. So our goal is to get you answers, get you solutions at an economic rate in an economic amount of time. I've been practicing for 36 years. It's a bizarre world, but who did I see walk into the room this evening but Jeff Kurtz, who hired me in 1990 at the city of Delray Beach as an assistant city attorney. So my life is coming full circle here today, but I think through my experience in representing cities, public housing authorities, CRAs, and as shown through my dedication to the town here in its early days, I've got a unique knowledge of the town, know the unique issues that you're dealing with here. You know, this town was established to control development in the acres. And I think after 15 years, I think you've proven that there is a way to do that. And we would continue to help you through the use of your code, through the use of your charter, through the use of state statute, notwithstanding the fact that they're trying to take your home rule power away. We would work with you to try and give you every opportunity to continue in your efforts to keep the groves. And I think that's important for you as elected officials, as well as your residents and businesses who are here. So rather than me talk on and on, if you have any questions, Matt and I are more than happy to answer them. But it's great to be here, and thank you for considering Weiss Sirota for this position.
Questions, anybody?
Yeah, I've got a couple.
I do too. Go ahead, you go first.
So Matt, what other cities are you representing right now? Are you the lead attorney on?
In the Atlantic is who I'm the lead attorney for.
And how long have you been the lead attorney there?
Just in the past couple months.
Okay.
Just in the past couple months.
And you've been with this firm for quite a while.
I've been with Weiss Sirota for 10 years now. Yeah. And I handle all the litigation. I do a lot of litigation. I handle all the litigation for Deerfield Beach. I haven't really been doing a lot of litigation for Boca recently, but I used to do a lot of litigation for Boca. I do code enforcement for Deerfield Beach. I do code enforcement I've been doing that for 21 years at various places.
Well, yeah, I did have another question.
Yeah.
So it's listed, your rate is $3.15 an hour. That's for paralegals and everything. Is that correct?
I don't know about the paralegals. That wouldn't be for
It
paralegals.
wasn't
No.
specified in.
Okay. Yeah. That wouldn't be for
Do
paralegals.
we know what that rate would be?
It would probably it would probably be around the 215, 225 range, I believe. But we could get back to you on that.
Yeah.
Lisa, did you say you had some questions, or did Todd ask your questions?
He did not ask my questions. Mr. Tolman, since you were here in the beginning, and obviously you recognize the uniqueness of our community, and yes, we have struggled to maintain the rural nature of the town. And, the current town manager has done a great job getting code enforcement up and running. I wouldn't say it's always effective. And that always poses certain unique challenges. To that end, a town similar to ours, which is probably not a lot, but in your experience, what do you see as the challenges we face moving forward? And what would be the average amount of time you would expect to bill a town with our issues?
The average amount of time they
Yeah.
expect to bill? I can't give a specific amount. I mean, I hate to use the phrase, it depends, but it depends because issues come and go.
Sure.
But I mean, I personally haven't looked at what your budget is, but we're certainly going to operate within your budget. We are not going to do work just for doing work. We're going to make sure that whatever work we are doing has been asked of us to do.
Okay.
And Matt will bill for time at the meetings. I assume we get paid on an hourly rate. We would, if we had to come to code enforcement hearings, we would bill for those on an hourly rate. But I think one of the benefits you get from this firm that I've seen is the fact that there are a lot of issues that you deal with that have been handled by other cities and other towns that we represent. So we can very often ask other attorneys in our firm, have you dealt with this issue? Have you dealt with that issue? And rather than having to go and research, we can usually get that answer fairly quickly. And rather than spending 3 or 4 hours for an attorney to research and write a memo, we may be able to get you that answer, with only doing an hour or so of time. So I think that provides the economic basis for Weiss Serota being your town attorney.
Okay. And do you have a particular method or, shall we say, system for communicating with counsel regarding issues that attorneys generally are addressing, versus, say, just through the staff communication? I think what we've seen in the past is a little lack of communication or understanding of what the town attorney has been tasked with, and council's awareness of the level of work that's going on.
Well, I think the most important thing is to be transparent and to make sure that every member of the council has the same information. And no matter what you're working on, especially if the council has asked for it, you're certainly going to copy all the council members with an email or with a memo related to that issue. If there's a, specific code enforcement matter, if there's a specific land use matter, and the town managers or your community services directors asked you to look at it, you're going to work with them. And then certainly if, we need to provide a report or a memo to them, we will do that. And we would hope that through your town manager that you would be able to get that information. But we certainly, if the council as a whole asks us to do something, we communicate with the entire council. We are the council's attorney. We are not any one individual's attorney. So we would make sure that when we get a request, that it comes from the council, and that we provide our response to the entire council. And then we can make sure that everybody has the same information. Everybody can make the decision on the same information, and the public is aware of what the basis of that decision that ultimately the council is making is based on.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. So it came up at our last meeting, we had a meeting about a week ago, that our current council felt that it's imprudent for us to sign a contract that doesn't have a limit, a 1-year contract or a 2-year contract, and leave an open-ended end date. I noticed that you have no end date here. So is that something that you're willing to consider, a 1 or a 2-year contract?
Yeah, that's something we can
The
certainly
addition of that?
Yes, absolutely.
Because we've been advised that that was not very smart of us to sign that contract with him. And that shouldn't be something we would consider in the future. So you are amenable to having, and what would be the lease term that you would be amenable to having put in?
I think we'd have to talk with our board. But it's certainly a discussion we can have. Absolutely.
I mean, I know that your charter does provide for the supermajority.
Correct,
to
but
terminate- To terminate.
correct.
So, but you're probably looking, maybe it's a 2-year contract?
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of surprised because it was a big issue last week with certain people, but it doesn't seem to be an issue now. I'm just kind of surprised that it's not an issue that there is no term to this contract. And again, our current counsel, who is on Zoom right now, advised us last week that we should never sign a contract that doesn't have a term. So I'm curious as to what term you would consider, because I think that has to be part of our consideration. If we're requiring a term from everybody, we would need to know that you would be willing to do that.
Well, if you select us tonight,
Mhm.
all right, then I don't know if you're necessarily approving the contract tonight as well. If you are going to approve the contract, then it's your decision as far as how long you want it to go, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year.
And you would be amenable to that.
Absolutely.
Great. Okay. The second question that I have for you is, we're with a firm that has multiple lawyers at this time, which is pretty common. But one of the problems that we've run into, one of the things that we've run into is that we'll get a decision from one attorney, and then, shortly thereafter, maybe another attorney will be working on it, and it'll be a slightly different decision, or, kind of a change in that opinion. What kind of internal controls do you have? Like, would you own it? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, do you actually review every decision that's sent over to us and be like, oh, no, we said this last week and now we can't say this week? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you have internal controls for that to keep that kind of thing from happening?
What we would do in the situation is, depending on what the issue is, like I said, if it's zoning, if it's a land use issue, whatever that issue is, I talk to Susan or I'd send her an email. We discuss it. We come to an agreement as to what the message should be, what the answer is, and then we provide you that message.
And then you stick to it. Okay. All right. Great.
If there are later factors that change,
Right. No, of course.
things can change. But certainly, like if people who specialize and as we were saying, that's kind of one of the big benefits of the firm is that we have such a deep bench, almost 100 attorneys. There's somebody who specializes in everything.
Right.
So going to that person, instead of spending hours and hours researching it and trying to figure it out, you go to the person who has already done it, who already knows it. We can discuss it, and then we give you an answer.
Okay, great. So you do have ways to keep that from happening. Okay, great. Also, one of the problems that we're running into currently is that, well, honestly, we do a really lousy job of prioritizing as a council, and we're working on that. We've made a commitment to try to be better. And we tend to throw a lot of work your way. What kind of internal controls do you have to help us to manage that, to say, whoa, stop, hold the phone? You guys have given us 3 major projects this month. You need to stop. And I mean, do you know what I mean? Like I think this is pointing to what Lisa said. What kind of direct counsel you will give us to?
I think given your example where you say there are 3 major projects, I think the first thing I would do is say, okay, what is the time frame? What are you looking for? What kind of a response? What kind of a response time do you want for project A, B, and C? And prioritize, and which is the most important to you, and what needs to, is this something that you need an answer to this week? And then maybe B is something you need an answer to within the month, and prioritize what we need to do and work to get you an answer to the one that is the most urgent and the one that you need the answer to first, as opposed to the other 2. And really, and again, depending on what they are, going to the person at the firm who might specialize in that, save time, not tearing through statutes, tearing through regulations, but just talking to the person who's already done it and saying, okay, this is your answer. And also not creating unreasonable expectations, not getting something on Monday and if it's not an issue, if it's a bigger project and it's not something we can do by Wednesday or by the end of the week, telling you that up front, so we're not creating unreasonable expectations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your responses. Marge?
Yeah. What's your standing on sitting in on council review of agenda meetings or any other council related requests.
We would be happy to sit in on whatever meetings you want us to be at.
Okay.
If I understand your question correctly.
Well, we were having issues with the billable time
Mhm.
that was going into having, an attorney sitting in on the agenda review.
I mean, my only concern with not having an attorney at your meetings is unintended consequences.
Not the
whether-
meetings, but I'm talking.
Or just agenda review individually with the town manager.
Right,
I mean, that's up to you and the town manager,
right.
if you want us there or not.
When you say you, do you mean individual or the council as a whole?
Well, I think it'd be a council decision as to whether or not you want to be able to have the attorney at the agenda review meetings, and then it's up to the individual council member to say, well, I'd like to have the attorney there. And go that way. But
Right,
it's
okay.
what you as a council wants, and then what is each individual council member
So
wants.
it's not a necessity.
Yeah.
It's not a necessity.
Okay, the other thing is, team spirit. I know you were always, in favor of whatever we were doing, you were going to come ready and, you're gonna have to polish up those cowboy boots that you used to wear.
I gotta find the Cowboys.
You strayed from your rural roots.
I did.
So do you do participation in, community events like, we had Founder's Day last year and so forth?
Yeah, I
That
mean,
kind
our
of stuff.
firm takes a role in we're not just the attorney,
Yeah,
but we take an active role in the community and to support the community, the organizations that make the community, so that, people just don't see us typically sitting up there, but will see us at an event, maybe outside of these non-Loxahatchee Groves close,
that would be
So,
billable time.
No,
No, that would be donated time.
And he may have lost the boots, but he still has to have them.
Yeah, he was a good sport. We gave him some real tough issues sometime.
Margie, you done?
Yes.
Okay, Paul?
I just want to thank you, Mayor, for asking my two questions. Thank you.
I'm just glad I could be of help. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, Todd, just
There.
coming on the buzzer.
So one of the problems we've had with the last firm, they've been here for 6 years and we've gone through 4 different attorneys with that firm. And I'm concerned about that turnover, right? So as a firm, what is your turnover rate? I know you said you're only representing one municipality right now. What other municipalities have you represented before? And how long were you there? And maybe David can answer the question is, how do you deal with that turnover? Because we've had a lot of turnover here
Turnover.
with the attorney. So we've been with the same firm for 6 years. We've had 4 different attorneys from that firm.
Well, Matt's gonna be your primary attorney. So as long as he's at the firm, he's gonna be your attorney.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, I've only worked at 2 firms my entire career for 21 years, and I've been here for 10 years. And
Maybe your
that's.
time's up.
No.
David threw him to the wolves.
So that means we got 1 year?
So the way that we normally structure is we have one who's your primary point of contact and the lead and who would come to the meetings. And then, like I said, we've got, Susan who does land use and Milton who does labor and employment, but there would be one specific point of contact.
Thank you.
Mayor, before they leave, might we want to ask them if they have questions for you?
I'm sorry?
Might we want to
Oh,
let
do you
them
have
ask
any
us?
questions for us, gentlemen?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll
All right. Thank you for your time.
go next thing.
Thank you both.
And Francine, who's next?
Nason,
Thank you.
Nason Yeager. I believe that's Mr. Fumero and Ms. Lewis.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead, Madam Mayor.
Please.
This is not on. Okay, good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, Madam Manager. My name is John Fumero, and I'm here with my colleagues, Steve Contiagero, and Alicia Lewis. Yeah, I think it is. And we are with the firm of Nason, Yeager, Gerson, Harris, and Fumero. The good news is, and I'll just make a very brief presentation if that's okay with you. The good news is I think you have competent, experienced firms. I'm familiar with the Weiss Serota firm, and it's a good firm. It's several hundred lawyers. I think they're based in Fort Lauderdale. And I could say the same with your current, I guess, the gentleman who works for the town. Competent, experienced lawyers. You know, what is the difference with our firm at Nason Yeager? We're Palm Beach County based. We were founded in 1960 in West Palm Beach. We have an office in Palm Beach Gardens and one in Boca Raton. We're not a multi-hundred lawyer firm. We have about 38, 39 lawyers at the firm presently. The folks you see in front of you today, our focus is on governmental law. About 5% of the Florida bar is board certified. So for a lawyer to be Florida bar board certified is a big deal. Less than 10% of bar members are. I'm certified in federal and state administrative and governmental law. I've spent half my career working in government. I started with the United States Department of Justice in Miami, and I from there went to the South Florida Water Management District, where I became the general counsel. And I very much remember Loxahatchee Grove's water control district for many years and dealt with this entity. I also represent, besides small cities like the city of Okeechobee, I represent a number of water control districts, especially given my background at South Florida Water Management District. Alicia, who will address you momentarily, has a very strong background in something that you, I think, probably deal with and some of the most important issues, and that is land use law, zoning, comp planning. You know, a community like Loxahatchee Groves, that's one of the biggest challenges. What do you want to be when you grow up? How do you want to define your future? How do you keep the rural factors and qualities in this community, but recognize that some level of development and growth is going to happen? How do you manage it? How do you build the ordinances and the code to do that? I've been a special magistrate at a half a dozen different communities, done a lot of code enforcement. That's also very important for a community like Loxahatchee Groves. Again, maintaining the character, whatever your vision is you want to keep in this community. It's the hardest task you will and ever will deal with. And so that's one of the areas that we focus on. Another thing that's very important, because again, you have three candidates, we're all experienced. You know, the city attorney has to be someone who you can trust and rely on. You know, the white hair factor is important. I've been practicing for 38 years. And truthfully, I've seen every scenario possible. And there was a comment about decorum. I have been involved in meetings where the police had to intervene, where arrests were made. It's very important to maintain decorum. It's very important to have rules to maintain decorum. Another thing is accountability and transparency. Not just you as elected officials, but your city manager and your city attorney must also be transparent and accountable. For 6 years, I've taught for the Treasure Coast League of Cities. I teach ethics, public records, and sunshine law. Those are the big three that govern how you or any other government does business. That is really the government Bible. I don't mind saying I'm an expert in those three areas and continue to teach that class. As you all know, you have to do 4 hours every year as elected officials. So again, I think that's part of what Steve, who by the way was in the Marines for 13 years, then went to law school. and Alicia bring to the table. I want Alicia just maybe just take a few minutes to talk about your land use background.
Good evening, and thank you all so much for giving us the time to present to you. And like John said, you have wonderful, amazing candidates, but I kind of want to tell you why we're a little bit better. So as John said, my focus is primarily land use, zoning, and government. I went to Auburn University undergrad, got a degree in poli-sci, and I loved government so much that I got a master's in public administration before going to law school. So if there's any doubt that I'm a government nerd, I don't think there should be any doubt. But I really do want to be a part, either way, whatever you decide. I love when I see communities that are growing, and zoning and land use are such an integral part of that. And making sure that the public not only understands how land use and zoning works and how it affects them on a day-to-day basis, but empowering them to actually be involved in charrettes and different things that they can do as a community to make sure that the code and any changes fully reflect what your intentions are. So some of these discussions that I was able to listen to are not only lively, but they actually excite me because I can see where there can be some great solutions. I've heard things about staffing issues, and there are so many ways that we can address that. We could address it with internships where you give younger people in the community an opportunity to learn and grow. I just think there are so many amazing and exciting things that can be done. And I think that government oftentimes can get a little static and not be as innovative as it can be. And so as somebody who is a government nerd and who has over 10 years of experience as a land use attorney, I would love to be a part of helping you turn that corner. So thank you again very, very much for your time.
And, you know, obviously with any small community, it's about money and fiscal accountability. You know, you always have this many things to do and this many resources to do it with. That's obvious. Public infrastructure is important. One of the things we do, I'm very proud to say I had a hand in writing Florida's public-private partnership legislation in 2013. It's a tool that local governments can use to leverage public funding and know-how for public infrastructure. And I'd love to talk to you about it. And if you have any questions, I can fill you in on some of the details, but also in terms of our proposal. So we gave you two options. Option one is a flat fee. Now, anybody who stands in front of you and says, on day one, I will do it for X dollars a month flat fee, I think is blowing smoke. Because in order to come up with a meaningful budget, a meaningful flat fee proposal, in our proposal, we suggest that we take 90 days to work here on an hourly basis and understand what are your goals? What are your priorities? How long is that list? What are the resources we have to work with? And then based on your needs, we can fashion and tailor a legal services budget, a flat fee proposal for your consideration, or we can do it on an hourly basis. And there's really no set formula. For the city of Okeechobee, I do it as a flat fee. I'm the general counsel of the Port of Palm Beach. We do it hourly. So there's no magic there. We offer a very competitive governmental hourly rate, which is in our proposal. But there's really no right way or wrong way to do it. The right way about a flat fee is it gives you certainty in the budgeting process. And again, when you do a flat fee proposal, what's equally as important is defining the four corners of the scope of services. Because anybody who says, here's a flat fee and I'll do anything is not being honest. For example, litigation would typically fall outside of a flat fee proposal. It would be a different proposition, but we've given you both the flat fee and a hybrid proposal in terms of our fees. You know, we have a PowerPoint presentation, which I'll spare you. I know you're having some technical difficulties, so we will dispense with that. But the bottom line is we do think we're different. We are a mid-sized firm. We are based in Palm Beach County. We've been here since 1960. This is what we do day in and day out. We've worked in government. We understand what it is to sit up on the dais and what you are having to deal with on a regular basis. So we also know what it is to deal with the public. These are your constituents, and constituents demand they're entitled to accountability and transparency. And unless you've worked in government, I don't think you really understand how that works. And again, I've spent half my life, my professional life, working in government. So for those reasons, we think we are uniquely suited to serve as your town attorney. And with that, would love to address any questions you have.
Anybody? Oh,
I'll start. Mayor beat me to it on the last one. Time frame? This is open-ended? This is open-ended
For the term.
for the term
Is it-
of the contract?
We were advised by our present counsel that we would be foolish to sign a contract that didn't have a term, like a 1-year term or a 2-year term.
So I think it's fair to say any contract that is forever doesn't make sense. However, there's a way to split the baby, so to speak. So what you do is you have a contract that has an automatic rollover. Could be for a 1-year term, could be for a 2-year term. Now, the town attorney, the truth is, just like your city manager, where we really start producing for you, because you set the policy, the manager and the attorney execute the policy that you set. It takes several months, if not the better part of a year, to really understand the community, the needs, where we have to go, what are the pitfalls, the landmines that are out there. And so you want a multi-year relationship with the firm. I would not do a 1-year, although we can. I would definitely do an agreement where you would maybe have an initial 2 or 3-year term. Like the one I have for the Port of Palm Beach was an initial 3-year term, and it has then 1-year rollovers that are automatic unless.
So you're
the
willing to
council-
consider
Sure,
a 2-year
sure.
term or a 1-year
I mean, the
term,
truth
even though it's
is,
not in here. Okay.
as your town attorney, we are at will. At any point in time, you can say, hey, John, it's been great. Bye-bye. That's the way if I don't have your trust and respect, I shouldn't be here.
Well, unfortunately, it takes 4 of us to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that's the only, it's 3 to hire, 4 to fire. That's where our charter's written. So without a referendum change, right, to our
Yeah.
charter, that's
Yeah,
what
that's called the supermajority. Yes.
right, correct. So that's the concern is, you enter into an open-ended deal, this was the concern that was brought up last week, that, you enter an open-ended deal, and until I can convince 3 other people here to jump on board with me, it's just going to keep on rolling unless there's some kind of, renewal clause or something like that, like you're saying. Like,
Yeah. So the alternative, I think this is where you're going, is you can force a decision, say every year, the town attorney has to be reconsidered and voted on again. You can set it up that way if you wish. To us, it doesn't matter. I mean, obviously with any relationship, we prefer long-term, but again, it's like a marriage. We have to make sure it's the good fit before you go long-term. Is that good?
That got a lot of chuckles. Oh, did you have anything else you wanted to?
Even
No,
if
thanks.
it's a good fit, you continue.
Marge?
Okay, well, how much in town hall time does your firm usually do? Only for meetings or?
Yeah. So.
Are you called in by the manager
Yeah.
for special?
Yeah, that's a super good question. So it varies. Again, we have to tailor it to what your needs are. If your needs are, hey, we need somebody to have office hours here 4 hours a week, we'll do it. And someone stands in front of you and says, I'll be here every week it depends on your needs and the staff's needs. If they are to the point where you need 4, 6, or 8 hours per week, then that's what we'll maintain office hours here. The issue really is also like for my clients, for all of us, you have our cell phone numbers and we're available almost any time. You call and we will answer. And if we don't answer, we will get back to you quickly. That's called accountability.
And that's billable time also.
Of course, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Good job, Marge.
Unless you do.
I don't know. It says, no charge for routine costs, including telephone calls. So I don't see emails though, so don't send an email.
Marge, do you have any more questions?
Who in your firm is familiar with ag laws and so forth?
Me,
Agricultural?
me.
Okay, how many years of experience and where?
General Counsel of the South Florida Water Management District. I've dealt with I bought hundreds of thousands of acres of agricultural lands. I've represented ranchers, cattlemen, citrus grove owners throughout the state of Florida. In water management disputes, land disputes, you name it.
Okay, and you weren't there when the Kissimmee River was straightened and shouldn't have been?
No, that was in the 60s. I was there when we put it back and wiggled it a little bit, so it was no longer straightened.
Okay, thank you.
You done, Marge? Lisa?
My question is a bit more for Miss Lewis, since she's going to be the lead counsel. So in doing a little research, I see that the firm does tend to speak more on their roles representing ranchers and developers and things like that. And you also spoke about being creative in our town. We're not a particularly creative town. We look for creative money, but other than that, we have a pretty simple vision. So I want you to address, please, serving in a role that is more going to be oriented to the town's goals.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that question. As John said, we want to tailor our services to what you want and need. And sometimes there's a need that financially you can meet without actually spending or using a lot of your funds. And so when I said to be creative, I wanted to help be creative when it comes to those types of situations where I just may have an experience that I could share where it was addressed. As far as making sure that we meet all of your needs, we want to at least have that initial conversation, that initial meeting with you all to really understand exactly what all of your needs are. And once we do understand what your needs are, we want to create a plan that you're going to support and that actually fits what the town needs. So I hope that answers your question.
To some degree, yes.
Okay.
I would say that on a whole, we're a pretty experienced group of elected officials.
Right.
I'm sure in the big scheme of things, not so much, but certainly pretty well versed in our own, our own challenges. And I would say, and whether these lovely folks would agree with me or not, it's about a consistency in the advice that we get from our experts, and a cohesiveness in our ULDC and our comprehensive plan and things like that. And I think that's a challenge. It's an expensive challenge, right? If we're not careful how we approach it. So that would be a concern for myself, no matter who we bring on board.
May I add that one thing that Alicia has done, I'm going to be your fan club here, is that we've gone into some communities, Okeechobee and Clewiston are examples, where we did an audit. They said they had problems with land use decisions. They had 4 categories, that residential, commercial, industrial. That's it. And they were getting.
We have less.
That's the thing. So our job is to give you the tools you need to get to where you want to be. If you don't have the tools, how do I say this? I was going to say you're screwed, but I probably shouldn't say it that way. But
Up a creek without a paddle.
You really have to have those tools. Part of the tools is, as I said at the beginning, having a zoning code that gives you that flexibility. So when you look at residential, you could have 3, 4, 5 subcategories there. And here, especially when you want to maintain a rural character, I know there's been some efforts to bring equestrian to make this some of the benefits of like what Wellington enjoys. You need to have, if you've seen Wellington's zoning code, I mean, it is a very complicated but very important tool that they use, and they've created overlay zones for the equestrian. They have an equestrian protection area. They have an equestrian overlay district. I mean, again, the council can do anything they want because they've been given the tools. Those tools are ordinances. Ordinances are the laws that govern here. If you don't have this stuff codified in your ordinances, good luck. You're not going to get anywhere. And as you get these bigger projects, they're going to compromise. And just also, we don't do bait and switch. You said, Alicia will be the person here sitting wherever they sit. there.
Works for me.
But this is the team. Any one of you, and especially the manager, you can contact any of us. And Alicia, who's a land use specialist, if there's an environmental issue, if there is an infrastructure issue, she's going to call me and I'm going to step in. I mean, that's the benefit of having a firm versus an individual. We are creatures of God. We only have so many capabilities. And if you go to a doctor, no doctor is going to say, I'm an orthopedic surgeon and a cardiologist. Here, we can offer you the right areas of specialization that you need as a local government. I mean,
I'd like to just-
land use is the most important.
I'd like to just piggyback real quick off of yours with my question from last time, which is one of the issues that we have had in a firm that with multiple attorneys is that we'll get a decision and then at some point we'll get a different decision from somebody else in the firm. So I'd like to ask what kind of internal controls you have to assure that that type of thing doesn't happen. Where does the buck stop? Does it stop with Alicia? Does it stop with you?
Looking
I mean, who's
me.
with you?
My name is on the door.
Okay,
Nothing
so
gets
every
set
decision that
before.
every decision that's sent before Alicia sends a land use decision over to us
That's
and
Yes,
something,
ma'am.
she runs it past you.
Steve and Alicia of a work product of consequence, obviously not every single letter, but anything of substance, we will discuss before you see it. And you will never, let me be clear, you will never get inconsistent opinions. That's,
Okay, thank you. Thank you for letting me interject, Lisa.
yeah,
Okay.
and that's never happened.
Seemed to fit there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, and Wellington has about $113 million budget. So
But why do they have
we'd like to have a less
Why? Why
complex
do they have a $113 million budget?
because they have high density, they have high
It's
taxes.
the land uses that were put in place. I mean, that's again, one relates to the other. And again, I'm not suggesting this be Wellington. What I'm saying is you decide your tax base based on the land use decisions you make. And that's one that you can't separate.
I
the two.
understand. Last question. I would pose this to each person coming up tonight. I would like to understand your approach to communication with counsel as the legal counsel to counsel. So,
So again, as I said at the beginning, accountability and transparency. So the manager and the town attorney execute the policy. You were elected to set the policy, set the goals and the priority. The manager's job and the city attorney's job is to execute those priorities that you set. And we can't do that unless there is a regular and open line of communication with us. And each one of you have different needs and different visions. And it's important that you be able to talk to your town attorney because as your attorney, we have attorney-client privilege. So it's important that you be able to talk in confidence with your attorney. In fact, it's a violation of the Sunshine Law if one of the council members spoke to me and I turned around and went to another council member and says, this council member says that that's a violation of the Sunshine Law. Now it happens, unfortunately, a lot because there's some level of ignorance with the Sunshine Law, but you have to know that you have confidence in your town attorney. You have to.
I think my point is that we've had a little history of priority questions, that direction from council versus direction from staff to the town attorney. And I think that's one of our reasons we're trying to work on clarifying that in the future to control spending. So
Yeah.
that's the nature of my question.
And if I may too, Steve's area of specialization is procurement. So when you spend, you should go through a competitive process to make sure you get the most bang for every dollar you spend. And I don't know what your procurement code looks like, but that's another very important tool that you have, that when you let a contract, you know that it went through a rigorous process and you got the most bang for the buck with a qualified, competent firm.
Thank you.
Todd?
Alicia, how long have you been with the firm?
I've been with Nason Yeager 2 years. Wow. 2 years now.
And then another question I had was, what's your contract with the city of Okeechobee right now? What is that dollar amount?
Yeah, it's probably 9,000 and change per month.
Okay. And is that, it's a straight fee?
It's a flat fee.
And do they have an in-house attorney also? Or
No.
you guys handle all legal matters?
We handle all, well, except for insurance defense, employment, pension. Yeah, we have police and fire pension and litigation. We handle litigation, but that's not within the scope of services within the flat fee.
And the flat fee that you propose here is double that?
No, as I said before, for me to give you a flat fee is silly because I don't know you. I don't know what your needs are, what your priorities are. I don't know if they're 18 or 2. So what we had proposed is if you want a flat fee, let us take 90 days working for you to work with you, to get to know you, to understand what your needs and priorities are. And then after the end of the 90 days, we would give you a flat fee proposal. Because if I gave you one now, I'd be pulling it out of where. And then, we're going to have either one of us is going to be dissatisfied with whatever comes out the other end. So we've learned, again, through trial and error, that this is the best way to do it. Go hourly, 90 days. And by the way, on our hourly too, we'll do a blended rate. Because what I also dislike is when you get some of these firms and you have 3 different lawyers working at 3 different rates, that doesn't make sense to me. We just do one flat hourly rate. We can. We have flexibility in structuring how we do this.
You done, Mark?
Yeah. I have a question about, we have a situation with a land use for community recreational. And a lot of the residents are concerned that should the viability of their plan not work out, can they come back and give us a zoning change request and make a big project like apartment complexes in a recreational area?
Asking her for legal advice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mark, don't you do
Right.
that.
Can we talk about that?
Think so.
I don't think we can talk about that.
We should.
Well, I'll say I won't go into in depth, but generically speaking, or generally speaking, I would say that generally speaking, is that better?
Close to it.
Okay. So generally speaking, you would need to first look at your land use categories because that's coming from your comprehensive plan. Your comprehensive plan is what directly spells out what your zoning code allows, right? So first we'd have to look at what that recreational use is when it comes to the land use in the comprehensive plan. So if it allows certain uses, then we can adapt your zoning code to either prohibit that type of use or that land use from transferring into a zoning that allows a higher commercial density in a recreational land use, or we could change the zoning code to where it requires special approvals before you can use that density. So there's so many ways to address it. There's so many ways to do it. And then I'm sorry to just change gears really quick, but I didn't answer the beginning of your question. I just remembered what it was. And it was that we're typically on the developer side, right? But I've had tons of experience working on this side as well. And I think what that brings is that not only do I understand how developers will approach you and the things that they're attempting to do and how they're going to try to do it, I also understand the ways in which you can limit and prohibit those things. So I have an ability to understand both sides. I've permitted 600 unit developments. I've permitted all the Topgolfs in South Florida. I've worked on large scale development projects. That gives me an understanding of what even in small scale projects the community needs. So I do understand that concern, but again, I get to see both sides.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Marjorie, done. Did you have any questions for, I'm sorry, Paul. You keep sliding it under the belt, doesn't it? It's like-
I like to hear stuff before I ask questions. I like, I like that more than I like this. So You just made me lose my train of thought.
Sorry.
No, no, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. No, that's not gonna hurt. That's not gonna help. Never mind. It wasn't.
I thought about that important.
Was-
Did you have any questions for us before we excuse you?
If I may.
Sure.
So is because it was unclear to me, you have an attorney now.
Who has resigned?
All right, that's Torsivia.
Correct.
Okay, so that attorney has resigned, so you need to fill this position
Correct.
ASAP.
The 21st of August is the last date he can work for us.
Okay, all right, well, that answers it. I mean, I don't, do you, either of you have a quite, I mean, no, I think we,
No, I'm just
Decision.
saying
the
the,
last possible,
that's the last possible date is.
yeah, I just.
He came up, excuse me, but he did come up with
Hey,
this
there
question.
we go.
Sorry. So yeah, you were talking about flat rate, et cetera, like out in Okeechobee, you're, for example, approximately 9,000 a month, whatever. And you talked about 90-day trial period, to come up with this, figure out what we need. So I would assume that what you use to template that 9,000 a month is kind of customizable depending on our needs, right? So
Exactly.
if we need more labor and whatever, that can be incorporated into that monthly versus having less purchasing, or it's like an a la carte.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
I could say, and
Did you guys
let me give you an example. We walk in here and you say, we have an antiquated code. We need an A to Z review and modernization of our code. Okay, that's very doable. We've done it before, but it's a major, I might say for the first year, let's make it X if you want flat fee. And then after that, let's revisit it because, again, priorities and workloads change over time. You don't lock in. It may be we do that for the first year. Again, it's based on what you want to accomplish.
Yeah, I guess my point is if we're, say you have these 5 areas that you specialize in, and we're heavier in these 2 or 3, and because you're the way you put it off was it's 9,000 a month, and that's kind of basic, and then but we and labor and whatever's extra, and litigation's extra, and this is extra, so that that's the part I'm talking about tailoring instead of saying, oh, well, this is the base, and then labor's always labor and like human resource, et cetera, is extra.
May I, Paul?
Yeah, you understand where I'm going?
Are you going, my take on your 90-day analysis is billable hours. In those 90 days, we build 13,000 average a month, and that's what we're going to move forward with. It's not areas of law and practice and questions. Is that
100%.
correct? Thank you.
And sir, may I, just to
Thank
be
you.
clear, like the union, the labor, that's not our specialty. So in those instances, it's not that we don't want to do it. There's great labor lawyers that we refer that kind of work to. They are specialists. That's all they do day in and day out. Can I do labor? Sure. But am I the best? No. And in those instances, we'll be the first to tell you, we're not the right. Let us bring in a subject matter expert. And I would hope you'd want us to do that because some of these larger firms say, yeah, we can do everything and anything. And, I think sometimes that could be not fiscally sound. Well, yeah, we can do that. We can do that. We can do that. Here, we really focus on what we're experts in. And if there's something else, then we'll bring in the right firm or individual for that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your time. Okay, we have more people?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for,
Thank
may I ask, do you want us to stay around or for deliberations or more questions, or should we depart? What's your pleasure?
It's your pleasure.
I have a suggestion to the council that as we finish up with the final applicant that we recommend for our August 5th decision, that the staff provide a matrix of comparison of what each firm is offering so that
Mhm.
this is not so willy-nilly in our notes and stuff like that. They bring it back with price per hour, other options, you know, kind of some of the stuff that kind of
So-
outlines each
Make a
proposal.
decision tonight or make a decision on August 5th? August 5th?
I like that. It's a more of a comparison type of scenario.
Todd?
Pros, cons.
We've dragged
We've
this,
advertised August 5th either way, so.
we've dragged it on and on, so I'd prefer to make a decision tonight and move forward, because it seems like we're very stagnant with legal
We've
services.
advertised August 5th. That's Tuesday. It's a week. Whatever.
Marge?
I like.
Let's let everybody
Lisa-
give their opinion.
I like Lisa's idea. I'd like to see.
Okay,
the
so
comparison.
you can feel free to go and we can let the Weiss.
May I
Yes.
get a clarification on that?
Yes.
We're
please.
scheduled for a contract and for the new firm to begin work on August 5th. So we would bring a sample contract for the firm because or the entity, and we would bring the matrix. We'd bring both.
So
Is
we can
that
just
correct?
Name the name on.
Is that
tonight.
correct?
Does that work?
I bring a contract from both,
Yeah.
from the different firms and a matrix from the different.
I know it's
I-
extra work for you, but
I don't
it
mind.
would help us.
I know that you had previously stated when I asked that question about, you know, we make the decision, they begin the same night, and you said that's how that was previous done. So I would defer to your expertise on how that
It's-
manifests.
It's actually in the RLI that they would begin work on August 5th. So if we have a sample contract from each of the firms
But
and we
that-
have the matrix, we can have that discussion and the decision the same night.
Very first thing.
Very
on the
first thing.
agenda
That
that
doesn't
night.
mean that you can't
That's
have.
it.
And they all have to
discussion
be
tonight.
there.
And they all have to be here.
It's like a horse show where they all, can you line up, please?
May I offer some, can I offer some unsolicited advice, having done this many, many, many times? So,
We love
and I-
legal advice.
I recommend this whether you're hiring an engineering firm, a law firm, or a contractor. First, choose the firm and team that you want, that looks, feels like the best fit. And then negotiate with them. If it's an unacceptable result, then you go to number two. If you negotiate with two at the same time, good luck. I mean, that doesn't work. Either an engineering, contracting, or law. It's really find the best one, qualified, the best fit that feels good. And then I'm confident that whoever that is, you'll work out an acceptable financial arrangement. And if not, you go to number two.
Yeah.
That's how they're typically structured.
Mayor, the town attorney has his hand raised.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm sorry. I see
yeah, we
no,
can see nothing.
I see nothing except press source on your remote. Okay, go ahead.
Glenn?
So, I think the last meeting you talked about using our.
Glenn?
Yes, can you hear me?
Glenn, I'm going to try to reach you on your cell.
Okay.
No, like you did, Marge.
Yeah.
Valerie, can you hear
That's
me?
the same message we were getting when Marge's green hat faded out, wasn't
Yes,
it?
can you hear me?
Okay, I'm going to put you,
That's the
I'm
same
going to.
message.
put you on speaker. You can't hear me through the screen. We're having issues.
Okay.
Mine was my phone.
Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening. What I believe we discussed at the last meeting is that we would prepare our general professional services with all of the required language and just leave a one for each of the applicants, and you would decide which one you wanted. They are all simply have a whatever the rate, the hourly rate they have, the 1-year term if that's what you want to go with, and it would be the same contract. They're not going to have different contracts. They all have the same professional service contract. The only thing that's different is their hourly rate and perhaps their scope of what. I'll look at each one of their scopes as to what they include or exclude. One firm excludes labor, another firm excludes something else.
Fine. So we're ready to go. Yes, everybody has to be here and then everybody comes to the party and.
Well, I think, since we're having, Glenn, I'm hanging up.
Okay.
Since we're having general conversation, I think it's fair to have all the attorneys in the office or in the chambers, but we still have one more interview.
Right, no,
So,
we're looking at the next meeting.
okay, well, because they're also waiting, the other firm.
Whether we should stay or go.
Well, I know the first firm was waiting, so I didn't know if we were going to have that general conversation with everyone at the end.
It should probably be explained at the end to all
Yeah.
three.
So we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Great.
So, thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Gonna line the horses back up.
We're at the victory parade next time.
Come down and ask me to each back your
We should get like a big rosette to hang on their backs and make them prance around the room.
honorable mention.
Well, while no one's in the room, but the meeting's still going on, will we be taking public comment?
Yeah, I think so.
Will we be what?
Public comment.
Public comment,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, Lisa says yes.
Oh, I didn't
Everybody
say
else
yes.
says-
Marge said yes. Oh, for public, yes.
For what? Hi.
Public comment at the end.
Hi, I'm Jeff Kurtz. Damn glad to meet you. I currently serve, as you know, as the project coordinator. I am interested in being the town attorney. We have discussed this over the last few weeks. I think the advantages to having a singular person represent you rather than a law firm is that you will get the same face and the same opinion each time, and there will be a consistency of action. I know those folks. They're good attorneys. Glenn, I've known for years. He's a good attorney. I think at this point in time, if you hire any of them, you're going to have some of the same issues that you've experienced, because that's just the nature of the business model that they have to go on. And I think I indicated in my letter that if you wanted to consider hiring me instead of as an employee, but as a law firm, I would consider that. And so with that, I don't want to belabor the time. I'll take questions, or if you've got anything to ask me.
Go ahead, Paul.
The 225, is that solely you, or is that you and a paralegal, or is there support staff involved? How's that break out?
That would be me as a solo practitioner. I don't know what level of support I would take on immediately. Initially, it would be me, and we would see what the workload was.
But if you did take on a paralegal, that's your.
That would
deal.
be my responsibility.
As a firm.
All taxes, all insurance, all those kind of things would be my responsibility. But it would be a different arrangement. I obviously would not be here every day. I would probably devote more FaceTime than other firms, because you would be certainly my primary, if not only client. But I wouldn't promise that I wouldn't take on other clients. So.
Paul,
So the 225 covers an hour for your firm, 1 man hour.
Right.
All right. Okay.
that it, Paul?
For now.
Was Lisa before you? Lisa?
So a question on what do you anticipate the number of hours you would expect to, just in your experience, you obviously know a lot about the town and the usage so far. Do you have any idea what you would anticipate an hourly, monthly total would be?
I think it's going to be the same that we've been talking about. As far as you're going to see somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,500 plus hours of billable time.
Annually?
Yeah.
And then as far as itemized billing, what would you be doing, that 30-day sequences or?
Yeah, it would be monthly billing. From a cash flow standpoint, if we got to that point for the first couple of months, I might want to see if you would be indulgent enough to give it 2 weeks, so that that would help with the cash flow situation, but that's not mandatory. But you would get monthly billing. A lot of things I think would be done on a project basis. I'd try to identify what we were doing on particular ordinances and break it down in more detail than just the general billing. But there obviously would be some general billing that would be involved there where you can't, it's difficult at one of these meetings to say, well, it was 15 minutes on this and 20 minutes on this. It would be, 4 hours for the meeting.
And you break it down in 10-minute increments, or what's the industry standard?
Quarter hour billing.
Quarter hour. And lastly, you propose starting in September. That's open-ended. That's a 30-day month. Are you talking about the beginning of September?
Yeah, I would. What I would need to do if you were to consider that option, then I've got to get some insurances lined up for myself personally and professionally, and I also have some unused vacation that I would not want to leave on the table, as it were. And so I would anticipate it would be, the September 3rd meeting, something like that, September 2nd, that I'd be able to put everything together and show up and take on those duties.
Okay, and that leaves us with a hole in coverage, right? With Glenn's last day, the 21st, right?
Correct. Glenn,
So-
that 21st was a, oh, you're gonna have to get him back on the phone. The 21st was a hard date for you to be done.
Well, I'll be out of town.
This is very not okay.
Yeah, I will be out of town after that. So make efforts to do what I need to do to keep you afloat. So you like the stories.
So you could provide coverage until the beginning of September through your office somehow, if or no?
If we needed to, good.
Thank you.
I'm done. Thank you.
Anybody else have a question for Glenn while we got him on the phone? Okay, all right. Thank you, Glenn. Okay, Lisa, I think Marge was next. I'm pretty, no, Todd was next.
One of the questions that Anita had for the other firms is it possible we're going to get different opinions from your firm?
That would only be if Jeff is picked.
I
you know,
was gonna ask
I mean,
that.
Depending on the day and the mood.
Get malpractice insurance.
So
get-
back to the question.
I think I've been relatively consistent, maybe not always right, but consistency, I can promise.
Back to the question that Paul asked, and I wasn't clear, or hopefully I wasn't clear.
I was hoping
If you ended up with a paralegal, that paralegal rate would still be $225 an hour.
who knows what they said.
No,
they
if
wanted-
if I had a paralegal and I was billing for the paralegal's time, it would be at a reduced rate. I haven't set that rate because I don't have a paralegal at this point in time. I don't know that I would provide the paralegal. That would obviously depend on the level of need and time, and it's an economic decision. If you're asking whether there will be an equivalent level of service between being in-house versus outside, no, it's not an equivalent level of service. I think going in-house is your highest level of service, regardless of which firm you're going to focus, because you do have the additional time. I don't know exactly how the other firms are set up, but it's usually not in this day and age a one-to-one relationship between the firm, the attorney, and the assistant or the paralegal. So one of the things that you will see in-house is I'll be more available for meetings and things like that. If it is an outside service, we would talk more about a structure in which I would be here, probably using the conference room for a full day or a day and a half or 2 days of meetings, but not planning on being here 5 days a week. There'd be an accommodation with the schedule that would free up more time of mine to actually perform the necessary work. And, there, at some point in time, there probably would be an assistant or a paralegal that I would get involved. But
And if you did as a firm, would you do a 1-year contract?
I have suggested to you all in my cover letter or my letter of interest that I would be willing to do a short-term contract. My advice to you, in whatever capacity I'm in at, even if you hire somebody else, if you're talking about 1 year, don't make it October to October. And the reason I say that is the first year to me should end in the January timeframe, not January of 26, but January of 27. Because look at what we're doing right now. If you have an annual contract, you're going to be coming up and saying, okay, do we have a deal or don't we have a deal? If we don't have a deal, we're supposed to be in the middle of budgeting. We're supposed to do all these other things. Plus, I suspect from seeing what you all have to deal with, and we do have an election in this community every single year. That means there's a new council person. That new council person, if it is an October to October timeframe, and you're making these decisions in somewhat of a timely basis, which means it's, you know, July, August, you've worked with the attorney, whoever it is, or the law firm, whoever it is, for a couple of months. Now, how much interaction, how much knowledge do you really have? I think you're in a much better position if you're going to go to the short-term contracts, that you have it being a less busy time of year. I say January 1st, have the terms end, then it's October that you're making those decisions on a retention decision. If you decide that retention is not the thing, then you're going out and doing this process, not on a rushed basis, but on a basis in which you can actually meet some people and, you know, do it in what most municipalities would think is a more typical measured fashion. So that's my advice to you, regardless if you're considering me or anybody else.
That's a good. We're paying.
That's right.
And you can't, and the thing about making it any longer than that, then you run into smack dab into the silly season, which is when somebody's running for reelection. It's always a silly season, and it makes it difficult for you to operate. And I know we've had discussions about that's one of the things that the charter committee should look into, whether or not it is a wise thing for the town to continue with annual elections, so that you always have to deal with an election and the change that happens every single year. But that's a decision for later. Right now, that's the circumstance, and that's my recommendation.
I believe Lisa was next, Paul. Oh, no, I mean, Marge was next. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Saw it light over here.
If you were not chosen, would you stay on in the position that you are in now?
For how long?
How long is your contract now?
I don't have a contract. I wouldn't want to pass up on those vacation days that I have earned. I don't know. It would be a decision that I would have to make. I think I have indicated to you all in the past, that's something I would have to think about. And I'm not going to make a commitment beyond. I certainly wouldn't walk out of here tonight if I'm not the selectee and go, well, I'm done. That's not the way I react to anything.
Yeah. Okay. Paul?
So since you're sole proprietor and sole attorney and the only guy, what's your projection for, and knowing, you know, what runs around here, what's your projected use of outside counsel? Like for litigation, for this, for that, you know.
Similar to what we were talking about on an in-house basis. There would be some areas of expertise that it would make more sense to
Such as
hire outside counsel.
labor law,
Some,
planning.
well, we have personnel, not really labor, because we don't have any unions at this point in time that we are negotiating with. But yes, depending on the issue, depending on who was involved, it would potentially make a difference, just to avoid the issue of conflict. If it was Valerie, I've gotten to know Valerie on, associate
Right.
basis. I'm not sure that if there was something going on with her, I'd probably want somebody else to investigate it, so that, not that I would think that she would ever do anything wrong, but that's why I shouldn't be the one that would investigate it. So there would be those kind of circumstances. There would be some litigation matters that I would say are going to be too time consuming and potentially complex. What you want on the litigation matters is hopefully somebody, if there is an action that is brought against the town, you actually want them to be asking for money so that your insurance policy will kick in and you will get counsel from our insurer. That's much the same situation. There could be other circumstances. It would depend on the complexity of the matter and where we were at, because the primary responsibility would be the day-to-day sorts of things, covering the various meetings, advising staff on planning and zoning matters, those kind of things. I would anticipate that on those kind of things and the cost recovery type of items, I would primarily be the person that would handle that. Once again, so you get a consistency of opinion and everybody dealing with it that way.
Thank you.
Okay, are you suggesting that we have everybody come back in for the public comment time? Is that what you were suggesting before we just be recess?
Jeff, we asked the other candidates if they had any questions, so.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Did you have any questions for us, sir?
No, not at this point in time.
Okay. Were you suggesting that we bring everybody back in for public comment, or that we have everybody?
That's actually up to council, but I think that what I
How
heard
does everybody
council
vote?
say was.
Could I
to bring-
suggest we bring them back in, tell them what the scenario is as far as the August 5th, it's the August 5th meeting, right?
And
August
let
5th.
them know that they can stay if they'd like to for public comment. They can also.
I think that's what I heard the consensus of before.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so let's bring everybody back in.
Now we're gonna have a discussion amongst us at some
I think
point
so.
tonight.
I would like to.
I was anticipating having public comment and then us having.
Yeah,
discussion.
okay.
That's what I was doing, but I was gonna give them the opportunity to either go home or stay at this point.
Should I stay or should I go?
We certainly don't want to get billed for the time. The $350 now. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for your patience. So what we've decided is that we will bring everybody back on the 5th of August, and we will have a decision at that time that we will make a decision that night. We will have our council will have a service contract for each one of you, basically, which will just fill in the blanks of whoever is chosen that night. So at the beginning of that meeting, someone will be chosen, and please be prepared to start working that night. We are now going to have a public comment session as well as some council discussion. So we wanted to invite you to either stay or go. It's completely your choice. We didn't want to hold you up if you want to leave, but we certainly invite you to stay if you would like to do that. And with that, Valerie, do we have any public comment?
Phyllis Manila.
Phyllis Manilia, 6 Court North. Would have preferred to have the public comment without them in here. And I was thinking we would have a public comment before you would have made that decision to have them come back. So with that said, I feel like 2 of the firms actually spoke for Mr. Kurtz, because the first guy said he was his first hire. Okay. And actually, what I'm going to ask you is, how much is it going to cost us in the few months that you break in a new firm? This isn't our first rodeo. Mr. Kurtz just stood up here, talked about our comp plan, talked about the ULDC, talked about all the things that he already knows about our town. You've all hired him. He's been working for us. We have, and I'm not sure about you guys, but I couldn't depend on the last attorney. We got several different opinions. To be honest, the law firms have been nothing but a money pit. We don't have control of them. They don't listen to our town manager, and they don't listen to us. Okay? We've had that issue. We have somebody that is willing to be employee. I think we need to change our direction. And you guys, stop kicking the can down the road. Very frustrating. Come on, let's get stuff done. I'm going to be back in that seat in the next couple of years. And then don't make me do that. All right, let's move this along. You're hiring an attorney. We have one. There was no reason for this. Okay, let's bring in a couple of firms. I have a question. How much money did we get from Tallahassee this year?
So far, nothing.
Nothing. Kind of the same hard sell I heard here with the attorneys that I heard with the lobbyists. So I'm just saying, we're going to save a lot of money having our current employee take over our legal. I would really like you to consider that tonight and stop. Start working on other stuff. Stop kicking these cans down the road. It's getting frustrating. Thank you.
Anybody else? That's it? Sorry. That's it for public comment? Wow. That never happens. Okay.
That's a fair-
Oh,
Wait. Ali's jumping in. Always. You want
Hi,
last minute like?
Hi, I'm Ally. Sorry about that.
Oh, there we go.
I'm hearing Phyllis's complaints, but I don't think it would be prudent for us as a town to not consider maybe doing things in a little bit different way. I think I can speak for a lot of people in the town that there is some concern of conflict of interest. I think that there are some concerns about the expense of having an employee and all that that involves with insurance and vacation time and this and that and the other thing, as opposed to hiring an outside firm that is just going to be billing by the hour. I think personally, I like the flexibility of being able to negotiate a contract and set a monthly retainer. That's how I work, on a monthly retainer with many of my clients. And you know what to expect and you can budget accordingly. I think there's a lot of emotion involved. And I think that I just don't think it would be prudent for us to not consider different options. And I think that's what's probably best for the town. So the residents of the town.
Thank you.
All right, that's
Ally.
it? No
Ally.
more runners?
No.
Okay. All right, anybody, some people wanted to discuss tonight. I myself want to gel a little bit. So did you have something you wanted to discuss?
Oh, I assume everybody had a time to look through each one of these. some of them had how they billed as far as 0.2 per hour. Mr. Kurtz just stated quarterly. So as far as bringing forward a matrix, when I say that, that's the breakdown that I want to see. So it's all there for comparison, so that we're not hunting and pecking. And so some of this may have to come from the actual discussion that came on this evening, not actually what was in writing in each one of these, because some of them don't have that information, but it was spoken what it was going to be tonight.
Feel comfortable preparing the matrix that Lisa's requesting?
I do.
So, yes, I do see the potential for abuse, as one of the public came up and spoke about a learning curve. And I know we discussed, a policy regarding public records request and trying to help staff with the timing of that. I know in the past, there's been some question of, counsel abuse of, lots of attorney time. Perhaps we should be looking at an internal policy. I know that that's tough to cover because everybody has their own legal concerns. But
You mean like like we did number of
Right.
hours for public records requests, no more than X amount of hours? I don't know that we have anybody that's having regular hours with the attorneys.
Well, I think she's saying to try to prevent it in the future.
Yeah, to
not
try to
just what
prevent it
we
in the
have to do.
future. Yeah.
right,
I
right.
think that's a great idea.
I mean, without council approval, right? Or it's something that affects all of us, as a council, we direct that, but I do,
Right,
I
right.
do see,
X, Y, or Z to talk to the.
right,
yeah.
and with the one proposal that's offering a 90-day window to establish a threshold of spending, I would hate to see that artificially, driven up in the first 90 days to just approve
Because
the
of the
form.
learning, but also because of the learning curve too.
The potential is there for that
Potentially,
too, so.
potentially there's establish it if there really is, which there probably is in our town, particularly a pretty steep learning curve. Yeah. The rate could be established at something that's actually really
Artificial.
outside of
Correct.
what our actual monthly usage.
But
is.
I think, the one proposal here tonight with the least amount of information, what was stated is the highest number that's actually been given to us tonight. The other two firms said we work within your budget, so, that I think would be great in the matrix, and those are the numbers that I would like to see so that we're all on the same page when we come back for the decision making.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Anybody else have anything they want to comment on, Paul?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how steep it is, really. I mean, it's not like we have a tax attorney firm sitting in front of us trying to do business with us. Every firm that's in front of us, all three of them, have dealt with or been in a municipal environment before. I mean, yeah, we're a little different because we're stuck in ag and we're, 3 square miles versus some counties are, like Palm Beach County is almost 3,000 square miles, So, I mean, I think it's more the learning curve is kind of getting used to where we are and where we're going. Not so much as, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward that we want to maintain what we want to maintain, and the staff knows that we want to stay, 1 per 5, et cetera, establish this. So I don't know that the learning curve is that steep that we would see a spike in the first 90 days. I mean, really, I think if they're worth what they say they are, we ought to be able to hit the ground running. There's going to be some stuff that's got to be learned, but I think it can be learned on the fly. They're all professionals and,
And they all speak very highly of each other.
yeah, absolutely. And I thank you for your patience because,
Spoke.
we kind of said we were going to do this by the 5th and, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very nice.
And
Todd, you
Todd.
have a question?
Yeah, so we didn't really discuss the in-house counsel too much here tonight. I've got somebody that I highly respect that's in this industry. And that person actually knew Jeff, which kind of surprised me. And he recommended that we try the in-house counsel. And as for the other two firms, he spoke very highly of them. Weiss Serota, he recommended above the other one, only slightly, but he had nothing but good things to say about all of these people here. And this is somebody that's in the industry. So that's good to know. Weiss Serota, their dollar amount is drastically higher than the other two firms. However, and Nason Yeager, their paralegal costs was quite a bit less also, compared to the other two.
But
One
that
of
could
the,
be in the matrix. And then
Right.
some of these had additional costs that were included, some were not included.
Right,
And
right,
that's why I think breaking it down, so we're not guessing who's got what here.
right, and my understanding was there's gonna be one contract brought back to us, so when you talk about the hourly rate or how it's broken down, is it quarter hour or 2/10 of an hour? My understanding was that the contract would come back, I'm guessing with 2/10 of an hour, and the other firms would have to say, yes, we'll take that or not. Or are you saying that's gonna be
I think
different for each one that comes back?
And-
I
and
thought it was gonna be
even-
one. and
I
we fill in
believe
the
what
blank.
I understood Glenn to say is that it's gonna be a fill in the blank, a basic services contract. What you're doing is, I mean, this is what I understood, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. What I understood Glenn to say was that it's a basic professional services contract with a lot of blanks to fill in that will be
Okay,
filled in that
understand.
night. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, go.
So yes, this will be your standard professional services agreement, similar to the agreement that we signed as town attorney. I will fill in the blanks based on their proposal, so however much per hour that each one
Only this one has a
suggested.
term. And can we all agree just to give one less blank to fill in that Mr. Kurtz's idea of having it end in January of 2027 is a good idea based on budgeting and year-end elections and everything, so that's one less blank, like he can put that in there firmly? Can we agree with that? You like that idea? You like that idea? You okay? Okay,
works.
so the one less blank that you have to put in, Glenn, is that the term is to January of 2027. Okay? Okay.
more than a-
Thank you.
Well, it's a year and some months. I mean, it's,
But to have it not be during the,
And
It's
I
further
assume,
down
I
statement.
assume from there on forward, it would be a 12-month.
and from the,
Right.
and there, from there on forward, a
Renewal.
12-month renewal, yeah.
renewal like we spoke about.
Yeah.
So one of the advantages with going with a big law firm is, and I saw it before when I was on here, that Cirillo would write a memo for another municipality. That other municipality paid him the Live Local Act, let's say. They would do the research, they would spend all the money, let's say the town of Weston. And we would get a copy of that. So we basically got something for free off of
Cooperative
Weston.
spending.
Right. So I mean, that's one of the advantages with going with a big firm as opposed to going with just Jeff, right? Because then we're paying Jeff to come up with that. So that is an advantage of going with a big firm. And then at the other side on a big firm, they have 75 attorneys. Are we just like another Walmart shopper, where we don't get that personalized service that we get with having somebody like with Jeff? So that's something that we need to figure out. What do we want, right? Do we want that personalized service where basically we're the only client, or we are the only client, or we're one of hundreds of clients? So.
But I thought each, oh, I'm sorry, Lisa. Just to your point, I thought that each firm that came up this evening specified one person that was going to be our lead counsel.
It
It's
is.
just like Glenn is our lead counsel now, but there's still 7 other attorneys.
No,
that give
I
opinions.
understand there's 7 other attorneys that give opinions, but they have, whereas the larger firm has, is touting that they have specific individuals they specialize in certain areas, etc. So, yeah, it would only, if I had a question about IT, like low voltage stuff, I would definitely call Todd,
Right.
and probably if he had a question about building something, he would call me. If I had a question about dressage judging, I would call Lisa. I mean, I get the whole thing. I'm just saying, I don't think we discount the fact that they said have a dedicated person. It's not,
Like we do right now.
yeah.
And the fact that he's been with them for 10 years is a good thing, right? I mean, that kind of shows consistency. So that is a good thing with that firm. So just a lot of.
All on
Be
the
on the
matrix.
matrix.
All on the
Matrix.
All on the matrix.
The matrix is good.
Lisa, did
Are
you
we,
have
are we
something?
red pilling here? So, back to your comment, Todd, about, in-house counsel. So I asked the clerk if I had previously missed in last year's discussion, was there, an actual model presented as far as, what other municipalities in Palm Beach County are utilizing an in-house model? How many departments do they have and things like that? And apparently that was never provided. So I think if the town was really serious about looking at an in-house model, I think there's a lot more data points that should have been provided for us to make an informed decision on that. So.
Well, they can be on the matrix.
This is a whole nother matrix.
I think that for the in-house model, it's a matter of the budget. It's one of those kind of things that I think is I forget the right word for it, but essentially you have to have an attorney and you have to have a paralegal. And that's what that budget is in-house. The question is, how much do you get for having that person in-house? The other thing is that we had in the previous conversations discussed that generally cities and communities of our size don't usually have an in-house attorney. I think South Palm Beach used to have their own attorney. I do think that some smaller organizations have in the past had their own attorney. I can't recall. I am old, the memory's fading, but I don't think we
Can't
would
believe you
be able
forgot
to
something.
find, a term that we've heard tonight, the apples and apples model, to look at a small in-house versus not in-house.
Can you put to the
I will put
side?
something
Can,
together.
can you put to the side on the matrix? Let me ask my question
Mhm.
first. The total number of hours that we were billed by Torsivian Associates in, let's say, 2024, just so we have something
Yeah.
that we have a number.
I
that-
think we've
Yeah.
agreed historically, those were not accurate.
Well,
They
but
felt
well, I
elevated.
think we need a number. I think, okay, how about 2023, 2024, and 2022? Just the total number of hours for the year so that we have 3 years of numbers, so that we have real numbers. Not what was budgeted, but what was billed hour-wise.
Yeah, so I can tell you that. what
Well, I
was-
mean, well, just put it on
Yeah,
the sheet so we can look at
I
it.
do it, but it is around, a 1,500.
The 1,500 is a pretty good
It's a
number.
pretty good number.
But the advertisement said our budget was 193,000. That's what these people were working off of in these replies. It's in the advertisement.
I don't recall putting 193 in the advertisement, and if I did, it was clearly a mistake.
Well, it's in each one of these responses.
The 193 was the retainer for one of the firms. I didn't put any budget numbers in.
Yeah, I think you're.
Is that, that's that where I got that number?
Yeah, that's where you're
Yeah.
getting that number is from one of the
Mhm.
firms.
Okay.
Suggesting it as a retainer. It's not in the
Mhm.
advertisement.
Okay,
Mhm.
then
And-
how did they get to that number? I guess I should have asked that question.
Well,
Should have paid more attention.
here,
Quicker with the light at the end.
When they said the 193,000, they said in reference to our budget. So my assumption
Got
is
it.
that they
Right.
looked at our budget, which of
Bravo.
course is published, and probably came up with a number that was close to our budgeted
Historically
number.
budgeted
but-
numbers.
But our budgeted number is not
Got
a
it.
real number, as we know.
Well, yes and no.
Double
Yeah.
that.
well,
Wow. flagged it.
honestly, just, for the public record and the benefit of the firm sitting in the room, council as well, we jumped up to $300,000 in 2021. And it has been, kind of bouncing up and down on those.
Was the B Road lawsuit.
Um, no, I don't think so. I actually tried to do a breakdown of it and get the details from the firm, but we did have the B Road lawsuit and other things. So I can certainly, share that information in the, deciding, but it's about 1,500 hours. And we also have a list of legal priorities based on council setting those priorities, and they roll back for a number of years. So we could certainly provide the kind of stuff that's in the backlog and get an idea of what people think would be the hours. That's up to you, council, if you would like us to share that.
Let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
I'm just going back, this is my mind working in reverse. I'm just going back to what Lisa said about setting a precedent number of hours like we did with the public
Yeah.
records request for
Yeah.
legal services for council. Didn't we, as part of the budgeting process last year, it's there somewhere in the back of my mind, as part of the budgeting process last year, we put a limit on to what
We
council
did.
could spend for legal. We did
We
do
did.
that kind of already.
Yes.
Okay, so can you, yeah, we did. But it was like a number for all of council, and I think what
Yeah.
you're talking about is more of a policy for individual council members to fit within that number. Well,
I think what we said-
put a budget line in that was, council
Council
spending
time.
not to exceed X. No, but we said council.
Yes.
But, and I think what you're saying is to take that one step further and do individual council members get X amount of time, which I think is a good idea, but I'm just saying, we've already got a number, we've got to get a number to start with and maybe just split it by 5. I don't know, whatever.
As a
If we all
policy,
agree
as a
on-
policy,
as
instead of
opposed-
just
Yeah.
a budget number, a budget item that can,
Right,
move.
exactly, but split it by
Sure.
5 as a policy kind of thing. Yeah, unless it's a general question that applies to everybody, everybody says, okay,
An
leave it,
agenda
go
or
ask the
something.
Lord.
I think once we, well, the side note, I think once we get past the budget. Whew. It's an aspirational. Yes, I said aspirational. That is an aspirational statement, literally. So I think once we get past, we really, and why do I keep coming up with this stuff? I think we need to take a look at that list and we need to really, because that list is, like you said, it's a couple years old, whatever. We need to take a look at that list as part of our pledge to everyone that we are not kicking cans and that we're not, because if we're not, I don't think we're even doing that here. I don't think we're kicking the can. I think we're just being prudent. And I think, and we're trying to make the best decision possible. And I think that, once we get past the budget, I think the next best thing is going to be to take a look at that stinking list. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe give us, give it to us at one meeting and give us a month to cull through the list and come back and say, I want to strike these type of thing. So thanks.
Okay, can I have a motion to dismiss? See you all on the 5th.
Motion- so moved.
Be dismissing?
I'm sorry.
Adjourning. Motion to adjourn.
Dismissing.
My mother's dismissing me right now.
We're adjourning. Yes. Yes.
She does these things.
We're adjourning, guys.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
I think.
Oh.